This demo is for ham, potatoes, and string beans. Aside from your Instant Pot, the only utensil you will need is something to stir the mixture with inside the pot. For ingredients, you will need 2 to 3 cups of chopped ham, 1.5 pounds of string beans. I'm using these whole green and yellow medley. You will need 2 pounds of potatoes. I'm using German butter potatoes. About half an onion. And some mustard. Grainy mustard is the best to use here, and shout out to Smack Dab Mustard because I love their mustard. So I am using their maple mustard, about 2 tablespoons or so. Also using some thyme, a teaspoon of thyme, dried. This is 1.5 cups of broth or stock of your choice. I'm using a mixture of turkey and pork. 1/2 to a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of thickener of your choice. I'm using potato starch. This recipe makes enough for 4 people for sure. If you just want enough for 2 and don't care about leftovers, then I suggest halving this recipe. So take your ham and chop it up into bite-sized pieces, 1 inch or so. I am going to be using about 3 cups. We really are just going to dump everything into this pot and then mix it up and go. So put in 1.5 pounds of the string beans, as well as the onions. And depending on the size of your potatoes, you might want to cut them into quarters or halves. So I've cut mine into quarters. Once you've put the potatoes in, add in some mustard. I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of Smack Dab maple mustard, and then I went ahead and put in another tablespoon of another grainy mustard, but grainy mustard certainly is the best here. Next, add in your teaspoon of dried thyme, a teaspoon of salt, and I did use a teaspoon of pepper in here, and I found it was too spicy for me, but then my husband added extra pepper to his dish. So if you don't like spicy, then I suggest using 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Add in your 1.5 cups of broth and give it a good stir. Once you've done that, it's time to cook this up. Place your lid on, make sure that your inner ring is in your lid, set your valve to sealing, not venting, unless it automatically does it, like mine, and then we're going to pressure cook on high for only 8 minutes, and then press start. And if you have extra ham, this is a good time to get it chopped up for another recipe like my breakfast casserole. Because my Instant Pot is quite full, it takes a while to come to pressure. After 10 minutes of natural pressure release, you can go ahead and do a quick release to release the remainder of the pressure. Because it was so full, it probably got a little sticky inside, so I'm just gonna touch the valve with a spatula because it didn't pop down. There we go. It can happen sometimes. Now open your lid and set your lid in the side of your Instant Pot. You'll notice that there's a fair amount of liquid in there, and we're going to thicken that up with the cornstarch or potato starch. So I'm giving it a mix here, and then I'm going to turn the setting on to saute. Okay, and once it's bubbling, take your 2 tablespoons of thickener, add 2 tablespoons of water, and add that into your pot. If you need a little bit more later on, then just add another tablespoon at a time, but make sure you mix it with something cold first. And voila! I hope you enjoy.